Yeah, it's I was just across the street at the museum, and there was a famous postmodern architect, Robert Venturi, American, and I was looking at an exhibit, and he said the term context doesn't apply to soul, and I thought that was very interesting. I haven't spent much time here, so I don't understand it, and that term, it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't try to understand soul. Fortunately, the cafes are busy, but I'm just, I've been so focused on this. I haven't had much time to really think about cities or anything. It was just nice having that moment, an hour or so across the street, to just like not think about coffee, just try to let something else in. And just to be here, the luxury of time, just to see the light travel through. Now it's there. At the end of the interview, I will be there. So what we want to give to people, they don't know what they're getting when they come. So there's a little bit of tension, right? A little bit of anxiety. And to manage that anxiety and then relief, anxiety, relief. So to think of it like a short opera or a movie where we're thinking about manipulating their emotions, not just taste, but why did the record stop? When are they going to put on a new, really thinking about the sonic environment, what they're smelling, what they're seeing. And at the end of it, yes, they've had many tastes of different coffee, but hopefully it's been this total experience that's more emotional than anything else. It was an interesting assignment. I had some time at the airport because my plane was delayed by 6.5 hours.
Wow, 6.5 hours.
Yeah, so I thought about that, and I wrote it in the flyleaf of my book and that I was reading. And well, the first thing that came to me is the Berlin Philharmonic, and very famous orchestra, but they're different than a lot of orchestras. They're self-governed, so there's not a board that chooses the music director that hears, they're governed. They choose the music director, and they have a sound. I've heard them live several times, never in Berlin, but I've heard them live several times. They have a sound that's unlike any other orchestra. 80 people on stage, and what's amazing about Berlin Philharmonic is how soft, what the soft sound like, the transparency of the sound. And so, they're not for profit. It's not a business, but it's an organization. They have a tremendous history. They have a sound like no others. It's a culture that they've built to produce the sound. It's like an organism. After that, Mr. Daibo, I think about him a lot because he had 37-year run in his Kiseten, and then they tore the building down. He could have retired, but he's doing pop-ups. He's roasting coffee twice a week, a few pounds, delivering it to this one store. I've been to a pop-up in an art gallery. I had the honor of being in his apartment. He's got a coffee room in his apartment, and he invites people over. He kept some of the same, the bar, the same stereo. So I think he's still discovering the mysteries of coffee. It's still very real for him, to try to answer this question of what are we doing with our life? How deep can we go? So this time in my life, I've been thinking a lot about that. I'm not done with coffee, how deep, it's getting a deeper experience for me, actually. So I think about him. He is a businessman, I guess, but also something much truer and deeper. The Saturday Ferry Plaza Farmers Market. That might have been number 4. What did I say for 3? Oh, Hoshinoya. Yeah. Thank you. It's been a long day. Have you ever been to Hoshinoya? It's a chain of lodges. They're all different. Uniforms are different, but it's the same architect. The CEO met the architect in college in the United States, I think at Cornell, if I understand correctly. And it's very sensitive to the location. But there's like a joyfulness to the hospitality. Like how they interact it's precise, but also it's like how he's found and trained these people. There's this sense of absolute joy in what they're doing. I find that quite inspiring. Also, how he's separated the experience from the transaction. I've been to several Hoshinoya. One, the first one, I think Karuizawa. You drive, and there's a little hut. You go in, and they offer you tea, and there's a beautiful plate glass window, and there's a river, and you sip your tea, and you look, and there's this woman on a platform playing these different sized gongs, and then somebody comes up to you, it's like, can we have your passport? And then goes away, and then you're just there, and then comes back, and then you get in their van and go up to the hotel. So it's like this liminal space between, so they keep the actual hotel experience pure, and the transaction is beautifully executed, but separate. Same with Hoshinoya Fuji. There's a little hut, and I have the backpack. My backpack is from Hoshinoya Fuji. They have a wall of backpacks. You pick the color you want, and they take the backpack with a big pole. They take it down. Then you do your stuff, the credit card, passport. Then you go up, and then there's no transaction. So that sort of sense of joyfulness and sense of separation, that didn't happen by accident. Number 4, Saturday Ferry Plaza Farmers Market in San Francisco. For me, that was like my college, because San Francisco is known for their produce, farm-to-table cuisine. They're quite famous for that. And so these farmers, beautiful farmland, 50, 60 miles away, the farmers will come every Saturday. Ferry Plaza is quite beautiful. And so when I was starting coffee, that was my goal. All I could think of was I wanted to be in that farmers market. And this was a long time ago, before like Instagram or Twitter, thank goodness. And so if journalists, if tourists wanted to find out what was interesting in food, they would go to the Ferry Plaza Farmers Market. And so there's that sense of community and artisanship and excellence. Not just potatoes, the best potatoes, like the finest apricots. The people that ran it when I was there a long time ago, 2004 through 2010, the people that ran it were like very particular about who was selling, what they were selling, why they were selling it. It was I felt like a major accomplishment to be able to sell coffee there. Working outside on an espresso cart, making coffee, it was, these people had traveled all over the world. They were very demanding, astute customers. And so that I learned so much just by serving them every Saturday. That was my MBA. That took me a while. I just thought of it in the museum. There's a eyeglasses company in Paris called Maison Bonnet, and it's third generation eyeglass company. And Corbusier, the architect, he's very famous. They've done very iconic. It's in this historic neighborhood in Paris near Place Vendôme. And you go and you sit in this old building, and the grandson, I guess, he puts glasses on your face, and he doesn't let you look in the mirror until he gets 3 or 4 that he thinks are pretty good, and then you look, and then they're scaled like to different size, like to suit your face. So it's not like once you get that, then they have to like make the glasses, and then you come back for fitting. So it's kind of fancy, a little bit expensive, but glasses are very intimate, right? They're on your face. And so he's in the business of providing this experience. Anytime you put your glasses on, I kind of remember like that little cave where they are. Glasses are interesting because, you know, shoes, like pants, like whatever, I know what I'm wearing, but glasses, you look through them, so I don't see my glasses. Yeah, and it's a beautiful, just sort of all their materials are out. You know, people in the workshop. It's busy but kind of joyful once again. I think in terms of luxury goods, you know, I'm not that interested, but something that's so intimate that's like on your face. Anyway, it was fun for me to go there and get those glasses. I see commitment, deep, deep, deep commitment to an ideal that's worth pursuing.
Yes, definitely.
You know, that's not a commodification, that's not a cheapening. You know, so this idea of going deep after some important thing. I mean, are glasses important? No, but like making something beautiful that makes somebody feel 10% more attractive when they wear it. You know, I think that's worthy, and that, you know, that sense of history that they carry, that sense of pride and craftsmanship. Same with the Philharmonic and the Fair Plaza. You know, there's a sense of history there and pride and represented in what those people do. 6 years ago, for weird reason, I started doing Muay Thai. That's when I just started, or I was pretty new. You know, so that's like even deeper for me. And I like to cook outside over fire, friends. I'm in Ojai. It's a little town near Santa Barbara, quite beautiful. And so there's a lot of nature, so I'm out hiking, swimming, outside a lot. So yeah, a lot of my life is being outside or taking care of kids. It's very, like, much healthier life than when I was running Blue Bottle Coffee. Well, Mr. Daibo exception, most of my inspirations come from outside of coffee business or business for that matter. You know, it's like what we do at its foundation, at our best, is create like a feeling, an emotional experience in someone. You know, we can do it in a very deep and particular way here, but just, you know, the team is executing quite well at this cafe. You know, just seeing them connect with someone, that's a smaller experience, but it's an important experience. So, you know, connecting with these things in me that help me just forget about the world, like to unlearn. This last few years especially has been, because when I'm boxing, I'm just thinking about trying not to be hit or kicked and try to hit and kick. Yeah, and I get very tired. Yeah, simple. You know, I've been meditating a lot, and like when I'm meditating, just like try to not, just try to empty up in nature, just try to pay attention. You know, my kids, put my phone down and like listen to them, you know? So I've been forced to confront sort of what got me to that place, and how do I get out of it? And the answer is not by thinking more. The answer is by thinking less. No.
So
Well, yeah, I don't know. I basically only wanted to do two things, to be a musician, and then that didn't work. It didn't make me happy. And then to be in coffee. And I was much more successful in coffee. And for many years, I didn't understand people who were struggling because they didn't know what they wanted to do or what they wanted to be. For me, it's easy, like, do the thing. Do the thing. Some people don't have that. And I don't know which is better. I used to think it was much better to be obsessed. But now I don't know which is better. I can't choose. All I can do is what I can do. The answer, if there is one, is to stop looking. At its best, you know, there's two sides, right? At its best, and I've had this recently, there's, it sounds funny, but it's like I can see what's behind the universe, and it cracks open, and I can see sort of the goodness in everything and everybody. And at its worst, it like excludes everything and everyone, you know, and it becomes darker, you know, because I'm not paying attention to the people I love, or I'm not taking care of the things I should take care of. So it's, yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. Yeah, I think, you know, it's hard. It's expensive, you know, to go someplace and to do something. It takes more time because there's nothing like this primary experience, this seeing a different light in a different place, hearing different sounds, smelling different smells. You know, I walk down the street in Tokyo and, right, dashi, you know, that's the way so many streets in Tokyo smell. When I go walking in my little town, there's orange trees, orange groves all over. And a couple months in the year, there's orange blossoms. You know, and that smell is very, I don't know if, do you know that smell? It's powerful. So the direct primary experience of something and working long enough on a project without being distracted, that's important to producing something that's real, not just like a derivative of a place you saw on Instagram. Yeah, I think just because I have the freedom, I don't have to go to a job every single day, and I don't really have a boss. So many of my constraints have to be self-imposed. You know, so that implies having a lot of discipline every day. And what I have to do is, you know, and sometimes I don't succeed, but what I have to do is try to put my phone away and pay attention to my children and just pay attention to the world around me. I was talking to the team. You know, there's a lot of intricate ways of serving coffee for the studio. And if you're new to this, like the team is, they want to be perfect, right? They want to do a good job. They want to be perfect. So they're always thinking like, is this perfect or is that perfect? And so I was telling them what I think about sometimes is just like, what does it sound like when I put a glass down on that counter? Pay attention to that sound. So I think it's an odd way to answer your question, but just like trying to pay attention to sensations and like that word be present is very like a cliche, but like tuning into what's happening at this moment with you and me, these people, instead of thinking about, did I say the right thing? Did I say the wrong thing? What are they thinking? Oh, Ryan's like Ryan, you know, like all of that, you know, just paying attention to this moment, ichigo, ichie, right? I think modesty is rare now. To admit you're not the best, to admit that you don't have all the answers. You know, that sense of modesty is, yeah, it's striking when you find it. Yeah, and curiosity. And in a sense, you know, I don't know them, I don't know the people in the Berlin Philharmonic, but there's that sense of they're in service to something bigger. And if they're playing a Mahler symphony, it's not about the Berlin Philharmonic. It's about being in service to Gustav Mahler. You know, so that sense of being in service is a type of modesty. You know, at Hoshinoya, you know, they're in service to their guests, and they want to bring a particular experience. I remember being in Hoshinoya, Tokyo, and asking, just sort of like, I'd like to get some jeans for my teenager. Can you know, recommend a jean store that's not far? And then 20 minutes later, there's a binder, and things are printed out, and there's 4 or 5 options, and there's the map, and she's telling me the benefits. So that sort of being in service is a type of modesty that I find quite admirable. Because what makes me happy is getting an espresso and then going to a museum. And I just did that today. I'm curious just what makes them happy.